Hello, welcome back. You're still watching and have not unfollowed my content, because if I were you, I probably would have done that, but you're still here, so welcome. Hi. Happy Sunday. If you are religious, same message applies. So that Java smells so good. I have a French press. I just, make my coffee in the morning. Just something about like when I pour that cup of Java, the entire apartment just like fills up with the smell. I may make a whole video just about that. It's delicious. That shit will make you want to get out of bed. Anyway, so today I want to talk about princesses, men who believe they are the prize, and Gabby, the girl who played Precious. I don't want to butcher her last name, so I'm not even gonna try. I think it's Thibodeau. I'm not sure. But okay. So I caught wind of the fact that Gabby is engaged to her like longtime boyfriend. Gabby is African American. She's black. Her fiance is Caucasian. I believe he's like a tech worker of some kind. And this made a lot of people angry, I guess. Some people were basically saying, they were mad that she swirled, that she's dating outside of her race, that she's dating down because like she's not dating someone in her income bracket who has her wealth. So there's like a belief that she's like marrying this person, or that the person is marrying her to have access to her money. I guess firstly, I don't know why that's anybody else's business. But secondly, like, it's I don't follow that many like gossip blogs, but I will say like, there's just not that many black celebrities, so I've never seen any sort of like tabloids that are about any of Gabby's novel beliefs. So like I don't think she's a part of any like cult groups or has some really extensive preferences for anything. Yeah, she just seems like a normal black girl. So I would just assume that she probably wants to live like a normal life, right? Like she wants to have a partner, probably start a family, settle down, do some fun regular shit that like most people like to do. And I will say this, because I did see a video the other day that was really talking about stats in America. Only 13% of the population in America is like black. 77% of the people in this country are white. Like most of the white people in this country are not all entertainers or athletes or some shit. And a lot of people live just normal ass lives where they go to work, they have their kids, they have their family, they have a regular ass job. And I'm just not really sure when like Black America is gonna make space for the regular person. Like, I am making this content right now because I am a regular ass person. All the things I had, the opportunities that I've had to work very hard to get them, but like they're not exclusive in the fact that like other people, like if you're watching this, the same shit that I have, you can have it too. If you want to know how to get it, send me a DM. I could like tell you how I got the shit that I have, but it wasn't some act of like a miracle or faith or no shit. It was just like hard work and like yeah, but still being an engineer, being like, I don't know, a person with a job, being regular is not bad. Like, I think we need more depictions of like regular women. So the fact that like Gabby, like a regular woman, is now getting married, that's like a regular thing to do. It's like very common. Like, people get married every day. Like, yeah, of course she was gonna get married. Like, she's probably like a very sweet person, very nice. Like, her, if you personally don't think that Gabby is attractive, great. Like, she, you know, like, I don't think she's checking for you or like me or really anybody else, right? Like, she's checking for her partner who she seems to be happy with and is now getting married. The fact that that is like ruffling a bunch of people's feathers is strange. I guess, like, if you think about media and society, like, I guess it does make sense because, you know, we grew up in a world where Disney pushed the princesses, so everybody has to be a princess. And I'm just here to say, fuck a princess. Like, I'm not Diana. If you're watching this, you're not Diana either. We are not Diana. We're not Meghan Markle, you know. No. This is America. Like, we don't even have a king or a queen. And if we did, it'd be Beyonce, and frankly, we're not her. So, next, right? And I think one thing that's strange is like just this expectation that to have like very regular shit, like an apartment, a house, a husband, a job, a car, really basic ass shit, that you have to be a celebrity or some, you have to be attractive, or you have to be nice, or like there's any prerequisite. Like, this is why I've tried to write a lot of articles about like my personality and how similar it is to the character. Even though it's a fictional show, House, that is my favorite show, just because I feel like I resonate so deeply with the character. Like, he's an asshole. Right? He's not nice, but that doesn't stop him from being right. Like, just because you are nice doesn't mean you're correct. Just because you say something kindly doesn't mean it's correct. Like, facts matter. All facts matter. Let's go back there. Preach that. Facts matter. Yeah, so just the fact that people are ruffled in their feathers about Gabby doing some really basic shit is just nuts. And even the fact that, like, I guess I'm surprised too, because I guess growing up I just didn't see a lot of images of really normal black people of all shades doing regular shit. And I think that I tried to touch on this in my last video, because I was talking about like, oh, people don't understand, you know, what black Americans have gone through. And I will say one thing that is important about that contextually is that like black people were barred from education, like traditional education, from reading. Like, when people try to compare the Asian struggle or the Latin struggle, what the fuck ever, with the black people, like, nobody ever said that y'all couldn't read or go to school. That never happened to you. In America specifically, like, black people went to war, came back, and did not have access to the GI Bill. White immigrants had access to funds to get free land from the Homestead Act. Like, this is really what happened. Like, the government gave like maybe even, it might be with billions of dollars now, like millions and millions of dollars to white immigrants to come here and take free land. They were like, we're trying to build America. Here's an acre of land. Go take it for free and live on it and prosper. Build things here. Please come. That's like literally what happened. That's not a myth. The Homestead Act. Or the fucking GI Bill that allowed, it built up middle America, middle white America. That is why we have a middle America in the suburbs. It's not an act of magic. It's a matter of government and money being allocated. This is why conversations like reparations are important. It's not just about affirmative action and like giving people shit that they didn't deserve. This country started with giving people shit that they didn't deserve anyway. So to get back off of this tangent, to go back to my points, like, for a very long time, black people did not have any representation in terms of like basic shit. Like, the only black people who were living decent lives were entertainers, because there were no academics, because black people were barred from going to school. So there was no black middle class. So the only like representation that we had was like on television, and it was people like shucking and jiving with the white paint and all that shit. Anyway, I'm gonna also touch for a minute on this like princess fallacy, or this is the princess narrative. Like, why is everyone trying to get their kids and their daughters to grow up to be princesses? The fuck is a princess? Like, especially in this country, America is expensive. It's about capitalism. And like, I suppose if you marry an entertainer or an athlete or something, someone wealthy, then you know you can have their children and get a nanny. But otherwise, like, if you're like just doing some, you know, normal people shit and like, you know, marrying up with someone in your income bracket and starting a family and being middle class, like, dude, this shit is taxing. Like, being a housewife is hard. It's a job. It is work. And so everyone just wants their daughters to like grow up and be like married, and you know, this, what is the idea? Like, oh, get the slipper and the guy and the baby. Who's gonna wash the clothes? Who's gonna teach that toddler how to read? Who's gonna change the diaper? Oh my god, that stuff is hard. It's hard. It's hard. Hard work. Manual labor. Mothers need to get they need money. They should pay people to, like, if you've ever heard anyone talk about, what is it, a push present? That's when you get your husband to like basically give you like a car or a house, a whole present for pushing out his baby, because that shit takes a toll on your body. It's a whole gambit, right? Not my point, but my point is, like, we're pushing these narratives of what a princess is, and saying like, oh, we want giving kids, you know, Barbies, giving little girls specifically like Barbies, and telling everyone to go after like the wedding dress and become a wife and a mother. I'm not saying that stuff is bad. I definitely think that there's a need for that, and I respect and admire, you know, mothers and wives and that ideal. But I just think the narrative that everyone should be that, and really pushing it internationally to say like other women too should strive to have these things. Like, if you're in the developing world, I don't understand why people are trying to mimic that, right? Like, don't be a princess. Be a person with a brain. Go build something to better the world. Have a goal, a hobby, an ambition. There is novelty in being basic, right? There's novelty in appreciating things that everyone has access to. Life is long. Isn't the average life expectancy, I mean, we take away all the like homicide and systemic racial stress factors that will take away years off of your life. But if we're just talking about kind of like the basic, you know, human life expectancy, aren't we up to like 85 years? 85 fucking years. You can do a lot of things in 85 years. Wouldn't you want to have like a hobby, like a story? Be interesting. Like, have ambition. Who you're married to is not gonna be like, I guess, like the greatest story to me. I don't think that you'll tell about your life. At least I hope it's not for me. But here's a good example of a traditional or a common, a well-known, this is a better parallel, like a well-known princess story, which I think is relatable, and there's probably a lot of lessons there that people might miss. let's break down Cinderella for a second. Like, Cinderella lives with her aunt and her cousins, and I think there's like 3 cousins, right? And in terms of like beauty, Cinderella has all the beauty. The other hoes were like ugly. Like, they were ugly and they were mean. They were ugly and mean, and they hated Cinderella. Now the prince didn't like the prince saw he was in close proximity to the cousins, because the cousins they were more middle class, right? They went to the places where the prince would go. They were invited to the gala. They had, you know, the dress and the slippers. But Cinderella, because she was like basically a stepchild, they forced her to stay home and clean. Like, the beautiful one was like at home cleaning, and they were all mean to her. And the prince was still like, I don't like you raggedy witches. I don't like you. So he literally saw all of them, all of the women, right, in the town who were out and about flaunting their hair and their ball gowns and all of their things, and he still didn't like them. And, you know, miraculously, Cinderella ends up getting out and she goes to the ball. It's like a one night out. She's just like happy to be included. She's just happy to be out of the house. She goes out, she goes to the ball, falls in love with the prince, and things, you know, obviously, you know, the mice and the slipper, but I think that's the crux of the story, though. Like, everybody's not going to get the chance to go to the ball. Some people are going to be at home cleaning, right? Like, and also, let's take a lesson from that story too. Like, there's really something to the group thing. It's like, just because everyone you see parading around in the dresses and the balls and attending the events, like, usually those people aren't the nice, beautiful people. They're like just the people who had the access, right? It's just because the cousins had the mom or the parents who had the money to like go to the event, that they were seen and they got to like experience stuff. But it wasn't because they were the most beautiful or the nice or even the most appropriate suitor. That wasn't it. But that's the way that story worked out. Or even The Little Mermaid, I think, is interesting. What is it? I can't remember what the witch's name was who like takes Ariel's voice. But I think it's important to remember, like, Ariel had all the things. When she was at home, she had everything, literally. Like, her life was made. Her dad like created a whole space for her where she was like wonderful and like living it up. And she thought it would be better on land because she thought like something outside of herself was like good. It's like, Ariel, why? You had everything under the sea. You had everything. All the toys, every trinket. You could have found a nice merman, just stayed with him, been chilling under the sea. But no, I understand. She found a hottie on land and she's like, I'm out of this bitch. I'm gonna go. I feel you, girl. There's some temptation out there. I know. I feel her. But you know, she goes and she falls in love with the human. But then she has to trade her voice. That's the trade. She has to give up her voice in order to become a human. This is why I've been making content. I just say, I'm just trying to be present because like I don't want somebody else having my voice or telling my story or having my narrative. I'm tired of that shit. Like, it's gross. This leads me to the men are the prize portion of the world. I'm not sure when this like paradigm shift happened, and maybe this this could be super specific to Black America, just because there's like so few men who are like not in jail and who aren't just unmarriable. There's like a large percent, like 44% of the prison population is made up of African American males, and so if the men are in jail, obviously they're not like out of jail and getting married to the women. And also, like, Black women are just on average much more educated than Black men. So when you're talking about income and tax brackets, if you're Black and you choose to like date and marry within your race, it's kind of likely that you're gonna have to marry down, just because there's so few eligible suitors who make the amount of money that you will probably make. That's unfortunate, but it's also a huge world. It is a big, billions of people on the planet. So many people. I definitely am not, like, I'm for Black liberation, but for every person, every Black person as an individual, in terms of like, I think I am pro gay rights, pro trans rights, pro women's rights, I think if you are a part of any of those groups, you as an individual should have the ability, resources, and political wherewithal to live as a full human being. But with that, you should be able to make the choices that you want for your life as an individual. But I do see the novelty, and I see the utility in Black collectivism, which I suppose is like what I would like to contribute to and build for, as in like as an ethnic group in this country. We do have some problems that we should like try to solve together. I understand that. Even as I'm saying this, I'm starting to realize my leaning toward individualism versus collectivism, but that's another conversation. Anyway, I think that when people are picking partners and thinking about like who is suitable, more than anything else, I really think it comes down to like qualities, like lifestyle is important, and character qualities. You know, like what do you actually like in the person? Like, do you guys enjoy doing the same types of things? Do you have similar interests? Are you able to like communicate? Are you able to compromise with that person? Because if not, you might marry somebody and end up waking up every day, turning your head over, looking at that person and being like, you didn't die yet? I'm telling you, lived experience. Like, choosing the wrong partner is worse than really anything else. But also, I guess it's kind of weird, because even if I'm thinking about Gabby, right, going back to that conversation, it does feel like a whole bunch of people who had no interest in being her partner gave a shit that she found another partner who probably does have like a lot of shared interest as her, which is like wonderful for her. Just be happy for her. I mean, if you care, right? Yeah. Oh, I guess I'm sorry. I didn't even get to the point of the men are the prize. So Men Are the Prize is a new wave where the men are feeling like they're hot shit, and that like they are like, women should fight over them or like swoon them. And like, I don't know. I don't know. I think maybe the anybody is the prize, you know, camp is kind of like overrated, right? Like, to say men are the prize or even women are the prize. Maybe everybody's the prize, right? Like, each individual has something to offer, and that individual should be a prize to someone else, but like collectively, like not that one person is worth more than another person, or like either way. But I do think some things come down to finance. Now, if you're talking about being an American and talking about partnership, as in like both people are working, like both people are contributing, or maybe there's some, you know, situation where you've decided, you know, one person's gonna stay home and the other person's gonna work. There's like a partnership of some sort, right? And that's important. And in that case, like, that's not a prize type of situation. That it's like everyone in the group is the prize. But there's a whole other thing when it's kind of like one person is bringing to the table all of the resources and the other person is like a arm candy, I suppose. If either partner basically believes that they're such hot shit that like they don't have to do anything and they just like show up to the partnership and that's it. Like they're so good looking, so attractive, so I don't know what other quality would be worth that type of partnership, but yeah, like that's kind of, even to say it, it's weird. But I guess that also goes into this whole idea of kind of like, it's not like eugenics exactly, but kind of basically saying like, oh, my genes are so great, I'm gonna like pass them on with someone else whose genes are so great, and then we're gonna create this like super great baby, and then that person's gonna go on to be great. It's like, why would you think that like your progeny is better than all the other people in the globe? That's pretty ballsy to say, because there's just a lot of fucking people on the planet. Like, I don't, that's very hard. It's kind of like, even when I look at myself, I'm like, I think I'm great because like I've worked toward becoming pretty great, but I also realize that like phonetically, like you could go to Ethiopia and find quite a lot of other niggas who look like me. I don't want to call them black people who look like me, you know, and if they had the opportunities that I've had, they would be like duplicates of me. Like, like what? Like that. It's really just about opportunity and tribalism, really, to say like my tribe is so good and their tribe is so bad, and so this is why we have all the resources and like they don't. Like, no, it's mostly about like geopolitics, really, money, inheritance, and yeah, like this definitely is not about, with all things being equal, and they're completely not. All things are not, we can't even actually have that conversation. Like, all things are not equal. And given that things are not equal, this is why you just have a higher distribution of some people who have a lot of things, and a lot of those people looking a certain way, and then a ton of other people who like don't have shit, and a lot of those people looking another way. But I do think if humanity as a whole, if we want to, basically we don't want to even just die out as a human species, we're going to have to figure out a way, like some happy medium, like I said in the beginning of the video, like where people can live quality lives being average, being normal has to be normalized, like globally. It can't be like because you're born in Africa you don't have any opportunities, and because you're born in America you have all the opportunities. Like if this continues, there's just going to be war, and it's not just going to be wars in Africa. Like, you know, when people run out of water, shit gets bad, and people are running out of water and food. And then there's like Monsanto selling, you know, the seeds that, you know, cause the soil to deplete. It's a lot of shit. So when you have people who can't eat and they don't have water, and like they don't have opportunity, and they can't participate in capitalism, and then it's like America and other countries trying to sell shit to the developing world, there has to be a middle ground. Because I think for too many people, they're believing that like their exceptionalism and their resources are going to shield them from the destruction to the like human race as a whole. And like, nah, right? It's like the earthquakes and the tornadoes, and really like the orange air didn't discriminate because it was Silicon Valley, right? Like nobody could breathe. Nobody. Like you go outside and you breathe the cold field air or whatever, you know, it's bad. When just because like the valley is super wealthy, that didn't stop everyone from like not being able to go outside. Like COVID-19, this is a great example. You know, it's like the virus doesn't discriminate. Well, I mean, it kind of does, but I think you get the point. As in, like, with enough interaction, technically anybody could, you know, get COVID and die of COVID or whatever. But yeah, tribalism is a cold game, man. It's really cold. And then it's another part of that too is being intersectional. How do you pick your tribe? Because like the tribes can overlap. Maybe the tribes are like competing for like resources, which is a huge thing. Oh. So I'm really not sure. But I guess also I wanted to say, like, I've been trying to think about parts of my own experience that are novel enough that it's like useful for me to create content around. And I think I think I want to create more content around like what the process actually looks like to solve problems. As in, like, I feel like and this is what I got teaching over the summer. Like, I guess people think there's some inherent ability that like some people have to solve problems, as if it's not hard and frustrating and like you don't know the answers sometimes. It's like, that's not really it. Like, even having more experience, like, I get stuck. I don't know how to do certain things. But I think the novel part here is I've gotten stuck enough times to where I understand that I have the ability to get unstuck. And so I am familiar with the process. I think it's really akin to understanding what failure feels like. As an engineer, I failed so many times. I fail all the time. Every day when I can't solve something right away, it's like, oh, well, shit, I failed. And then I failed again when I tried something and it didn't work. And then I failed 100 more times until one time it worked, and then I succeeded. Now, once I succeed, I can move on to the next task. But I also failed like 100 times before I was able to succeed. And I guess like working with students over the summer, it became apparent to them, which in turn became apparent to me, that they didn't understand that process of failure. There was some like window up that made it look like, oh, you try once and then you succeed. And it's like, in what world? Whew, the ash is real over here. I do still have that lotion that I got in Brazil. I need to use that because the ash is real. Oh, that's funny. That's actually not dirt. That is this like Egyptian clay. I did a face mask last night. I know, yeah, I'm shiny. No, I'm just playing. No, I did a face mask and that shit got stuck in my ear. I gotta go wash that out. Anyway, I think that's probably all I have for this afternoon. But you know, tomorrow's Monday, going into a new week, ready to work. Happy Monday.